Hello everyone, welcome to the session on Blockchain Technology 101. Now we hear a lot about digitization every day. When we talk of digitization, there's hardly any day I think in the newspaper you don't read an article on digitizing supply chain, digitizing the business process, digitizing the governance mechanism. We talk of any activities around, we are talking about digitization. We are also actively involved with the Government of India on Digital India program. When we talk of Digital India, there's always a fear in the mind of people. The data, what they're trying to give is, it could be taken away, somebody can misuse it, somebody can, as we see a lot, even look at the normal social media. We are a network society today. Even our personal life, we are part of X or Y social media. All our informations are centralized. So any digitization, when we talk of a centralized approach, there's a possibility that somebody can take away your material, sell off the material, make misuse of it around for their business gain. But the blockchain technology is a little different than all of them, in the sense that all the digital system which we talk around today, they're very centralized. Facebook is centralized. ERP is centralized. I mean, decentralized to some extent, they were practical, but today they're rising out of hand, I would call it. Even if you look at the supply chain of the good old days and supply chain of today. In the past, supply chain, we used to create most of the values within the premises. Today, 70 to 80% of the value is created by the ecosystem. Whether it's the innovation part, whether it's a designing part, whether it's a cost part, everything comes from the ecosystem. An ecosystem is very global. So in short, that means your supply chain from one end to another end could be very long, covering 30 to 40 players in the chain around. Information could be in a disjointed form. Information could be in a silos form, although they might be digitized, but again, digitized in a silo form. So what we are looking around is end-to-end connected. And we also wanted trust in the system. So the technology, which is the blockchain, is basically to harness, one is the transparency. Because if you talk of a supply chain, the major focus is visibility part. With that visibility, we can have it. Then great technology. So the transparency is the first thing. Second, I will talk about the trust part. Trust is equally important around. Look around the banks. They're all centralized systems. So you guys will never know when the bank is going to become bank. But once you become into digitized system, in a digitalized system, I mean, digitalized is one, but in a decentralized approach, so we move away from centralized approach to decentralized. So in the decentralized approach is to me a more like a democratic system. The trust becomes more in the system around, not in the people. So when I do in a centralized system, the bank or the company or whatever may be the body who's managing it, the middle person, we have a trust on them, but then system could be played around. While in the case of peer-to-peer, so the peer-to-peer, I might have multiple peers in my as a stakeholders or my users. I don't have a trust on the peers, but I have a trust on the system because it's decentralized, it's distributed. And the next comes efficiency part. Since we are able to connect end to end, and every information is available in a truth form, plus we know the source of it, it becomes my, and once it is connecting my demand, supply, everything, if any change happen on the demand, on the supply side, no, immediately, I don't have to know through the middle person. So that means system become more efficient. And last but not the least is, because we're using the cryptography, we have public key, private key, I'll be explaining around. So the security is much better. So in short, if I have to summarize, the blockchain is a decentralized system, is a distributed system. So these things brings up transparencies, the trust, efficiency, and security. With this background, let me move through further. What we plan to cover up in the next 60 minutes is understanding the evolution of technology. What changes have happened in the technology? understanding the concept of blockchain, which we also want to know what exactly is the blockchain story around. I've given you a little flavor of it, but I'll go into more depth of it. What is block? And what is blockchain? How the blockchain works around? Why implement blockchain? If you're talking of implementing it, why should I implement it? I've got many digital systems with me. I have my ERP. I've digitized something around. And why should I go with blockchain around? Role of smart contract. I think this is a wonderful thing which blockchain has come up around. I think the first time Ethereum came up around in blockchain 2.0. So the smart contract is there around. It's basically codifying the terms and conditions of the contract. Typical use cases around. The use cases, my focus is most of you are procurement and supply chain professional. I'll focus on that. So broadly, the objective is the use of the technology in procurement and supply chain to harness transparency, trust, efficiency, and security. And these are things which are missing today when we are rushing in the line of becoming digitized. Now, let's start with a very basic evolution of technology. If you look back at the evolution of technology, the internet came in 1984. It revolutionized the whole way the world does business. Things are changing even today because of internet. So we had Web 1, we came with the Web 2. And when came the Web 1, it was all that one could read on. Then came the Web 2, you could read also and write back also. So if you're looking at somebody's website around, you could write comments around, is it good or bad features around. So certainly that opened up a door. It's a totally new paradigm. Now we're talking of Internet 3, third generation, so which you could call Web 3 also. So to some extent, I would say blockchain is nothing but that. Now this blockchain technology, which is a new one, the poster boy of blockchain has been digital currency. And it is called Bitcoin, came in 2008. And you know the outcome, why it came up around in 2008, 7, 8, what was going on the banking system in the US. I mean, you don't know, the same thing has happened recently in our country also. People who are putting their money, they don't have a trust on the bank. So this is how the story came out. But later on, I think many governments started controlling it. They said possibly this could become a tool for money laundering. In India also, it was stopped around. Last week, I'm very happy to say the Supreme Court has already authorized. Now, only thing is RBI and the government of India has to make the guidelines, but from the Supreme Court, it has been clear. So it is no more illegal per se. Some banks are even transacting money also. Digital currency through some banks around. If you look at the internet, the way it came around, it was called Internet of Information. That means if I pass on my emails, I pass on some file to you, you can share that file to someone. You can, if I pass on the music to you, you can share the music with someone. So that was the issues around which was came up. But now we're talking of, when we talk about blockchain, we're talking of Internet of Value. We are not focusing on information per se, because then the problem with the information is my copyrights can easily pass on to hundreds and thousands of people. Here we're talking of Internet of Values. So blockchain by basically decentralized approach and distributed approach, it ensures the value part as well. So the special about this database is, when I say database, because blockchain is a database, it's distributed. So it goes to all the peers. Every peers can see it, they can read and write. It's transparent. Everybody has a copy of it. If somebody wants to make a change, others can notice that who was trying to help it, who was trying to change it. So evolution of technology, if I put in a graphical fashions, I mean, if you look before 2005, everything was centralized system. Then we came with a cloud system. Everybody is connected through clouds. Today, when we're talking of in the years to come, everybody could have their own cloud systems. So it's a distributed clouds. So this is how we expect the blockchain will lead to. Now let's talk about the blockchain overview. The whole start of the banking crisis of 2007 and 8 in the US and with the recession time. So the main problem was that the banking stopped trusting each other. So the banks are not trust each other. When nobody knows information 10 days before and suddenly you are told the bank has become bank. But when the money is moved, recorded in the blockchain, there is no room for doubt. So if things are recorded in the blockchain, because here it's distributed and decentralized, and being decentralized, there's no room for doubt. Everybody has the same copy of the database. So trust is automatic. So the process is creating the automatic trust. A record in a blockchain can be about anything. The blockchain is something that can call as a distributed ledger. Actually, some people call it a distributed ledger technology, also DLT. So the ledger, I know you all know it very well. We are all conversing with the ledger concept, good old days. So everybody's records are there, every information is there, every transaction is there, which day the money was given, which day the money was taken as a loan, good old days of the ledger. So same ledger we are trying to involve here. Now, it's old-fashioned bookkeeping ledger. If let's say I'm a farmer, I'm creating some produce around. I'm storing it. At what temperature, humidity, whatever you want to talk around. And customers can be guaranteed that guys, these are coming from the right place. And information, the way it has been stored and the way information has been transferred, you have access to everything. Even you have the access to what price the farmer sold it, what level the next level person sold it. So you know the markup also. If I look back in a very extreme basis, we could become, in the time to come, we'll become blockchain babies. The day we are born, every information goes to the blockchain. Nobody can change it. Everybody can see the day you are born, the time you are born, which city you are born, every information is there. Since this is decentralized, it's not a centralized information that I have to go to the municipality and change my date of birth. Here I can't change it. It's a decentralized system. Which school I went, which college I went, whether I got the degrees or not, any fakeness I can check around. The job, first job where I did around, second job where I did around. So it basically open the truth of it around till the person dies. So in short, from birth till death, every information can be saved of each person. So the origin and the history of the blockchain, as I was telling you, in 2008, it was Satoshi Nakamoto who was thinking around, guys, what is this? We can't have a trust in the bank. So he came with the concept of decentralized approach around. His focus was digital currency. He came with the concept of Bitcoin. And you know the history of the Bitcoin, the way the price was going up. It was very volatile. It was all demand and supply. And some government got worried around, if this is the way it is, this could be misused. And there are many people in India who are using it. Now, getting more into the concept of blockchain. As I said to you, the blockchain is nothing but a file. You may call it storing data. Or in the technical terms, it is nothing but open, it's open source and distributed database. So the database is distributed to all the, you can say the people at the peers. If it's a public platform, it is going to everybody. If it's a private one, then certainly only those who are the part of the network. Now this data is distributed, that is duplicated across many computers, and whether the blockchain is entirely decentralized. So when we say decentralized, it means there is no one authority. While in the case of centralized, there's a one authority. There's no authority. Every information is going to everybody around, so all informations are there. So this is a radical departure. It's a paradigm shift around to move from centralized to decentralized. I want to re-emphasize this point around. If you say today's word, we are centralized, we are digitized. Yes, we are digitalized, whatever you want to call around. But they are all still following the centralized approach. In a centralized approach, anybody can change the data. So you may not get the truth behind it. While in the case of decentralized, it ensures the truth. So in a simple forms, this is nothing but the file comprising of the blocks of data. Each block is nothing but the data, the transactions. So whatever transactions could be you're doing around, transaction could be a purchase request, transaction could be your specs are there around. So every information which you're trying to transact in today's life, as you do in purchasing also, are in supply chain. All those data are going in a block. And the block can be, as on today, is to the size of 1 megabyte, which is quite big, I would call it out. When I look at my file, which I've created here for the webinar, is around 11 megabytes. So around 100 pages. So if you think of 1 megabyte, only the text form, it can cover 15, 20 pages easily here. In the length of chain, there is no limitations per se. So each block is connected to another block. The question will come, how they're connected, I'll be explaining further. So now the trust, the way we were discussing around, because there's a key thing which is missing in the today's digital world. When we talk about Aadhaar card, we talk of anything else, we're always worried information could be leaked out because they're all in the central database. So now the trust is coming either through the cryptographic. Who has the key? Do I have both the keys, public key and the private keys? Public key, everybody will have who are the part of it. But the private key would be only those who have the rights to validate it. If I'm not the right to validate it, I can only see it, that's fine. So the private key will be only with those. Second would be the collaboration part. We work together. So that's a beautiful part of the collaboration. That means if you have got, in my company, I've got 70, 80 peers, which are suppliers, plus inside or maybe 2,000 peers you could call around. I've got so many suppliers and inside my stakeholders. But we work as a collaborative form. That means we are all on the same platform. Everybody has same ledger. And the nice thing is the clever code. And the clever code is nothing but the coding the terms and conditions. At the end of the day, what is terms and conditions? They are basically the milestones. If you do this by date, payment should go this. If this is done, this should go. So those milestones are basically computer-wise programmed. I think this gives some broad ideas around when we talk of decentralized. Our traditional database, as you can see around, is totally centralized. If one node fails around, the whole system comes to a standstill. It's inaccessible. While in the case of decentralized, when we talk of blockchain, all are connected and distributed. Even if one node fails around, doesn't make a difference. Everybody has a copy of the same database. So the blockchain, when we talk around in 2019, if you look at the last years, I think every day, some articles will come. This is the word of the year, I could call it. So now when India has already legalized a cryptocurrency as well, so certainly I expect this is booming up. Since many people who connect with us, so I can see this is growing in a big way. This year you will find much more openings, much more growth, more companies looking around how we can think of using the blockchain in our existing environments, application-wise. Now, this one rest, I think I don't need to repeat because I already explained quite a lot of them. So the summary-wise, if I see the blockchain is a database, keep in mind, it is an ever-growing database of different kinds of data. It is quite remarkable properties of once the data is stored, it can never be modified or deleted. While in the case of centralized, I can modify it. I can delete it. If suppose your property is recorded somewhere in the central database, somebody can join hand with someone and change the details, change the ownership. But in this case, since it's a decentralized, distributed, the trust becomes better. You can't change it. So in short, every record in a blockchain is permanent for eternity. No single individuals. Our organization maintains the database. Several thousand individuals do it, and everyone has a copy of the database themselves. That's a different thing, whether everybody has a right to write something. Everybody has the right to read it. But the right part, I cannot say, because then that has to be given those who are the one who can validate the information. Look at this one, the way technology I told you in the beginning, Web 1, Web 2. So the Web 1 was, which came with the very old technologies around. Still some e-commerce business are running on Web 1, where you can, they're not user-centric. They're not customer-centric. While in the case of Web 2, they become customer-centric. Customer can also, if I go to the website of a particular hotel, I can write my remarks. You come to our website of ISM, you can write your comments. So that's become the Web 2. Now we're talking about Web 3, or in Internet 3, then blockchain, I think. We want to make it more intelligent. So the focus is to make it more intelligent, more trustworthy. Then the only possibility is when we get into the decentralized and distributed world. So that is way I expect the internet to be the next level. Now we've got two words around, the block, and the second word is the blockchain. As I said in the beginning, a block is nothing but a record. It could be a request for buying, it could be RFP, it could be bidding document, or it could be even the offer coming up, someone's around. Somebody making the purchase orders around, somebody making the goods receipt note. It could be the invoices around. All those activities which you do on a daily basis. So those are the ones which are going into the block. To me, all of them are assets. Assets could be physical asset, intangible assets, whatever you want to call them. Transaction itself is, request itself is an asset. Specs are also assets. Offer is also an asset, because that's the one you're trying to record. Now, these blocks, when they're connected together, and blocks relating to one project, blocks relating to one function, so those are connected together through hashing, then become the blockchain. So in short, today, in the good beginning, when the whole concept came around, block was a separate word, chain was a separate word. Now, since they move together like a chain, the terminology is called blockchain as one word. Now, thinking decentralized, so by nature, blockchain is a decentralized approach. No single owner, no single person to play with it. Information is everybody has around. So the truth is there everywhere. So the data storage, if I want to clarify this way, I think this gives you very good ideas around. The blockchain is a historical record of transaction. As I said to you, will become the future blockchain babies. That means if I have to see my records around, from the day we were born till we are in the world around, the complete history of my records, which school I went, which college I went, with whom I married, the whole information is available. So complete records are there in the blockchain. So this is becoming a database. You can compare the blockchain with a book. So each page of the book is a block. So all the transaction which goes into the pages, then you connect the pages, becomes a whole book. Now each block has got a header. So the header is the one, the technical information, reference to the previous block around, and that reference basically connects them. So you have a digital fingerprints, that's what we call as hash, it connects them. Now here, some again simplification of the blockchain definition. As I said earlier, the blockchain is a distributed ledger, can contain financial and non-financial transactions. It's not that only purchase order would be there. You can have any information. If the goods were rejected, that also will be there. If you feel the supplier was not in a good performance around, that also will be listed around. Every activity can go into that. So real time over a peer-to-peer. And next thing, it gives you real-time information peer-to-peer. Every participant owns the same copy of the ledger. Now, every participant helps determining the immutability of it. The records are immutable. You cannot change. And we are also having cryptography and digital signatures, which basically proves that you have the identity set. You have the authenticity. You have the to read and write access. Not that everybody can do. So look at this graphical picture thing. I got so many stakeholders. Today we are all connected in a zigzag way. While when I look at the next one, the with blockchain, since everybody has the same database, I don't need to connect them in a zigzag way. It's very clear. So this shows the consensus. I mean, everybody is agreeing with it. Provenance, the truth part of it, immutability part, and final things. Let me give an example of this one. Suppose I'm buying from one company. I've made a long-term agreement with one supplier. I tell them, guys, you are giving me a discount of 10% this much if I buy 200 pieces. The moment my volume becomes 250, my price should be this. If my volume becomes 350, my price should be this. You go on doing with the based on a long-term agreements. Yes, you are doing by email. Guys, go on doing it. Later on, you want to resolve how many pieces were done. It may take you months and months between the supplier and the buyer. While in the case of blockchain, everything is real time. I don't need to resolve it. Information is whatever information I have, same information my supplier has got. So that means automatically, even if I got a smart system, smart contract, it can change the price also. So that's the beauty of it. Today, what we do is we go to the supplier. Oh, I got so many of this. The guy will tell me, okay, guys, let me check myself. How many were more than 250 pieces? How many were more than 300 pieces? The rate of that one around. Here I am getting on a real-time basis. With a smart contract, it is immediately available. Even the payments can be made based on that. So that's the beauty of the blockchain. So the blockchain header is basically giving you all the informations. Primary key, timestamp is there. Audit log is there. Block header will have all other fields around. But keep in mind, it is important field is called previous block hash. So that hash is there around. Similarly, when the next one comes, they will have the previous block hash and they get connected. So when we talk about data, it will have address book of first and the last name, medical record of your vehicle histories around, everything. Look at this block. So this block has got the previous block histories and then it gets connected. If I look in a very sequence form, block 51, 52, 53, so the 51 is there with the proof of work, number is this, 52 comes up. Now 52 has a previous block and which matches with that. So many zeros, 9857, small v. Then block 53, it gets hooked up, hashed with block 52. So this is the way trust environment is very clear around. You have a very central approach, central authorities. While in the case of decentralized, nobody's authority. Everybody has same information. Everybody has same truth. Now question next comes up. I hope this gives you very broad ideas of what is blockchain and why. Now we can talk about how it works. We have already agreed that this is basically peer-to-peer network. Now in the peer-to-peer network, transactions are going on. I'm using the cryptography. And but each in this public key, I've got cryptography uses two keys around, public key and the private key. So private key and public key, a public key is more like your email address. I know your email address, I can send you. But if I have given you both the key, then you can change my data also. So that's the way we are looking at it. So this is the way it works. I think graphic, you can see this. Now we are trying to send some information, transactions. For that transaction is going to all my peers who are approved, who are agreed. If it is on a public platform, then it goes to everybody. So it relates to the government processes like the voting system, this thing, that they'll go to public. But here it is going to only the peers which have been cleared by being a private platform. It has been cleared by the company. Let's say I'm working with a company like Tata's. I've got many Tata's companies around under that. So we say that all suppliers for Tata's, all stakeholders will be the only peers. It may be 20,000, 30,000. So all those peers will get that information. But then there will be few validators. Now the validators will validate it if this information is correct or not. So validation, which you do today also in your day-to-day process. So once it is validated, the block is ready to be hooked up with the previous blocks. And once the activity is complete, then the whole activity transaction is completed. So this is where another comes up, which explains you the difficulty of changing it. So transaction is requested. So transaction is in the broadcasted. People are doing the validation part. The verified transaction can involve cryptocurrencies. And then this information is combined with other transactions. So it becomes like a chain. Here we are showing like a brickwork. That means one brick over another brick. So it's becoming a chain. So that means if I have to make any changes, I have to remove the upper bricks as well before I remove the bottom brick. So which is most difficult. And then approval has to come from 51 participants who are part of the peer-to-peer. So that means it makes it impossible in one way. So once it is added, then the transaction is completed. This is another one which I added up intentionally because now since the government has made the cryptocurrency legal, so here it could happen that we are doing this work, we're doing the transactions, could be purchasing requests, could be purchase orders, could be anything. So whatever information goes to the peers, and then the validation part, then the block is there around, the block comes up, mixes up, matches up with this. The transaction is complete, but side by side, the payment part also goes request there. So once the block has been validated, and the block says, guys, goods have been received, clear, matching has been done, so the block is ready now. So that may be the last block which gets hooked up with the previous one, but then the moment I put that block around, payment instruction goes as well. Payment instruction goes in the cryptocurrency form, which in the years to come, I expect that this will be more like a token. And then token can be related with the Indian currency, the fiat currencies around in terms of ratios. Because otherwise, if it is purely cryptocurrency, which is doing with the demand supply, the rate could be going up and down. So possibly then this will be hooked up with guys, okay, with the country currencies, this one fiat currency, and then you can buy and sell. Now, when we talk about the validation, information is going, somebody has to validate. There are two ways, proof of work, proof of stake. The proof of work means, again, in both cases, they're algorithmic. Even today, when you approve it, you look around, guys, oh, this amount is so much. Is this guy authorized to approve or not? So there is algorithm. In the case of proof of work also, there's an algorithmic, but that's the only thing is this is the one we use, people call as a mining. Somebody has to find the information, is it correct or not? Then those who come with the validation first, they are called the miners. And those miners are also paid some benefits around because they're working hard on this. They need some incentives to do this job around. So proof of work is normally used when we talk of the cryptocurrencies or any government thing or public platform. When we come to the private platforms, proof of stake is good enough. Because proof of stake means the person who has got the maximum stake in that, who has got maximum investment there, maximum stakes are there. If I am, let's say 20 peers are there, my stakes are more in that, I could be the validator. So that's the way the validation happens. So the same thing has been explained here. So proof of work, as you can see, like a mining, it's a very hard work, consumes a lot of power, and then it's very slow. Number of transactions, maybe one transaction could be taking some minutes around. So this may not attract the people. Because when we talk about Visa card or business, other cards around, they do 2,000, 3,000 transactions per second. So here we're talking about minutes, who's going to take for it? Well, the proof of stake, the speed is much faster. So now when the blockchain 3 has come up around, speed has improved quite a lot. So that's what makes it much more useful around. So again, POWs, proof of work and proof of, and this one stakes around. So both cases, I think I've given you the key points around. And here it is, the probability of mining is a block depends on the amount of work as the miner does. A lot of energy is consumed around. While when I look around is, in this case, stakeholder validates. And then the user would need to own a majority of all the shares. The person who's doing it, they need to have major shares around. So this gives you the concept of what is a validation process. Next come smart contract. Contracts, contract. At the end of the day, it's all contract. The contract also has to become digital. Today, our contracts runs into 15 pages, 20 pages, and I've seen even to 100 pages. But if those terms and conditions, the liabilities part, the obligation parts, are spelled out in the milestone form, if this happened, this is the event. If this happened like a liquidated damage, I'll say, since the process got delayed by 1 week, price changes. I deduct 5% from as per the contract. So those are codified. So system automatically knows the day it was completed, the date was received, the date was cleared, and the date is 1 week more than scheduled date. Automatically the system has got the guidelines. Smart contract is there, beautiful code is there, smart code is there, reduce 5%. So if you look at contracting, what exactly it is? Whenever we get into contractual agreements, we have the business rules. If the delays happen, this is what I'm going to do. If the liability clause, I'll cut down, the liability will be equal to, professional liability will be equal to the amount of the contract. It could be about escrow amount, it could be anything around. So all are put down in the business rules. And then once they are all done, completion of an actual transaction. So this is broadly what the contracting is. So you have agreement, you have governing rules, and once all the rules are sorted out in real sense, then certainly it's complete. Now what we are trying to do is, in this case, in the blockchain 2 actually it came up around smart contract. We convert everything into this. Now smart contracts, these are basically protocols. Now here you look around, there's a pre-programmed contract. So whole contract has been pre-programmed. Then there's a chain of events. If this happened, this. If this happened, this. If this happened, this. And then each chain of events is executed and the value is transferred. And if there is any dispute around, it settles it. So this is how smart contract works around. This is another one example I think you can see around. Again, you have a request sent around, request has been validated, And after the validation, the block is created. It gets appended. Then transactions completed. But on the side, you can see smart contract also starts working. So once the first activity is done, the payment is already made. So this is if I summarize the whole smart contracts part around, it used to take maybe 3 days, 4 days, even more, maybe traditional contract. Smart contract is in minutes. Automatic remittance. Escrow may not be necessary. The fraction of the cost around, the cost of doing, if it is taking 3 days, naturally, so many managers are involved. It costs you a lot. Here, the system is taking care of it. Robotic process is taking care of it. The cost may be very negligible. Now, here comes again part of the cryptography. Everybody has 2 keys around. One is public key, one is private key. So the public key, as explained to you, is more like an email address. If I know your email address, I mean all the people who are the peers in the network, I have the email address. In short, you can say everybody gets a public key. So whatever information I send, I'm using my private key also. Basically, encrypts it so that nobody can misuse it. It goes as an encrypted form. Then the users may be B, C, D, E, whatever is there. Some have a reading rights, some have only writing and reading rights. So those people who have reading, writing sign, they can again encrypt. Encrypted is in the beginning, but then it can be decrypted. So this is how we call it public key plus private key become your digital signatures. Suppose somebody has to check my authenticities around, I got my digital key, I got my private key. So when I use both, that they can trace it has been done by so and so. Here now looks around, Alice is saying, I'll pay you so much. The guy signs. Now this signature is going to Bob, but it's going is in an encrypted form. But then what Bob does is, Bob has got the public key which Alice public key around, and in the process verifies it and it decrypts it. So with this, the whole process is completed. Now the platforms, there are public platforms, there are private platforms. So in short, if I look around those who in the corporate world, we'll be going with the private. But those activities which are public related, let's say I want to use this in election. Why I'm using these examples, but this is what I was involved in long back. We did in Estonia. Voting part, health part. So this public part we can do in the public platform. So the private part certainly I can do in the corporate part. So you have privates, you have public, you have consortium type, federated ones. So consortium means 10, 12 companies join hands together. They want to work together. And there could be permission ledger. There you need a permission. So technically it's a private case, I need a permission. Now in the case of distributed ledger, they're all decentralized. It can be permission or unpermission ledgers. So it could be both choices, while in the case of permission, you only need permission one. Now coming back to push this project further, Hyperledger project has been initiated in 2015 by Linux. And now they're also working very close cooperation with IBM. And they're trying to train people on this field. Now this is an open source Hyperledger ones, collaborative efforts created by Linux Foundations. So big partner in Hyperledger is IBM. Some of you might be thinking, why this? Today, if I got, let's say, 2,000 suppliers, if I want them to be hooked up with me, they are my peers now in my ecosystem. They need to have a system. So if I'm using particular one type of platform, they need to have something which is compatible with them. So that means there is still a gap of standardization. So this is where this is coming as an open source. So all suppliers are being encouraged to use this, and the buyers can also use it. So we have the same platform around. To summarize a blockchain, if I say it is a shared ledger, cryptography wise, it's very authenticated, verifiable transactions. Nobody can change any information. It's a shared contract, smart contract, and then it needs consensus, like any democratic system. So consensus is required. So if you're saying that we believe in rights for everybody, that means we need a consensus around wherever there's a dispute. So consensus comes up. Now, why blockchain? Now, after listening all this, what you have heard me. First thing is no third party involved. Next, unalterable copies, immutable. Nobody can change the copies around. Real-time tracking. No single point of failures. And the process is real-time. It cuts the cost. If I have a smart contract, it can go on a real-time basis in minutes and seconds instead of days and days. It cuts down the cost. It improves efficiency. It improves the process. Now, the application which have come up around, because in the beginning I said to you, Bitcoin, all those currency, cryptocurrency, they were the poster boys, which didn't have the good image I would call, because many government was not supporting it. But then the focus moved to application. Since the technology is very good, so supply chain is one application. Health is another one. Agriculture, food is another one. So you could have wide range of applications around. So let's talk about supply chain. If you look at 21st century, supply chain has evolved into a worldwide interconnected supply and demand network. Let's say I'm making X product. I got 100,000 my distributors, maybe another billions of retailers. Now those retailers and my customers may be running into billions. I don't know how their mind works. Overnight they make up their mind, oh, we will not like this product. So normally what we used to do in the good old days, the forecast part was all based on GDP. So we were not customer centric. But today customer centric is very required, because the customer decides today they love the product, but new product comes up, they say, guys, no, I want to go with this product. So you are all the time hoping that 40% of the customer loves my product, but then overnight you find those 40% has become zero. Look at Nokia's, very top. In India, the share was around 35, 36% of the market. But then one day you find there are no more, somebody else is taken. So now that information, that means the linear path will not do. In the good old days, our whole supply chain was linear path, one step, second step, third step. Today, we want everybody to be connected. My customer should be part of my chain. My stakeholders all should be part of my chain. So whatever I start doing around, if any customer decides they are going for another one, I should know, everybody should know information. Not going from one edge to another edge. Customer tells marketing people, salespeople tell marketing people change the forecast around, then they tell someone else. So by the time you get the information, it's too late. Already orders have been placed with the suppliers. So if I want to say that, I would say we are in the era of global supply chain ecosystem. So this is where we said to you, instead of a linear path, which used to be very traditional one, supplier, production, distribution, no guys, all of us them are connected. And I have got a tower in the center. And the tower has got all the latest information, and everybody gets the same information. And if I got a blockchain, everybody has the same ledger. Now, why blockchain for SCM? First thing is distributed. Everybody is the copy. Nobody can play with it. Nobody can change the data around. It guarantees the immutability part, publicly available, enable product traceability part, tracking of important informations, and temperature. I can check if my goods are coming from X place, Y place. My medical supplies are coming, food items are coming. I can check the temperature, quality of the goods around, shipment and deliveries, and safe certificate of facilities around. I think this is a very nice to see around, which is a very traditional one. Let's say from one side, I'm getting from the farmer the beans. Could be soybeans, could be X bean, whatever you may talk about, or coffee beans. Somewhere in Africa they're coming. Now they are moving through a wide range of activities around. It's going to the factory processing plant. Then from third-party logistic, it is moving. It's going to the departure port. Then there's a carrier around. So from one port to another port. Then again, I go through the same list of people, distributors, retailers, before it comes to the customer. So what I need to know as a buyer at the end of the day, I want a product traceability, where it is grown, from where it is coming. I also want to know the people who are working on the farms, what type of condition they are working in. So the next comes tracking and tracing I want to do. That's another visibility I want. I want to also see where on the inventory part, what is available with the distributor, what is inventory available with the retailer. So a complete visibility if you want around, then certainly the blockchain is, there's no better thing than blockchain. Here comes another one that I'm one of the car buyers, I need some spare parts. I'm the customer. For spare parts manufacturers, which may be OEM supplier to, let's say, Toyotas, Hondas, or any companies around, then they go to the manufacturers. The next goes to the distributors, third-party logistics, again goes to the dealers and comes to you. All those information, even as a customer, I know when this was loaded. So in short, everybody's on the same ideas. Information is same. Look at this one, tracking and tracing system. What temperature they are being exposed, what humidity they are being exposed. While if my vaccine is coming, I want temperature to be 15 daily. While actual temperature they might be controlling in the beginning, but later on some system has failed. So 15 has become 25. Now that 25 might have been recorded. I'm not questioning it if they have got IoT and all this. But later on, I know very well if I just tell the buyer that this was coming at 25, the buyer will sue me and cancel the contract. So I could change the data. I'll say, no, sir, everything was fine. It was 25 through and through. Because they're all centralized database. So tracking and tracing. This is another thing which I think Walmart has done around is they can track and trace each and every food, all eatables. So if I'm taking a juice and if I get stomach pain, they can track and trace from which fruit it is coming from where. So this is the plus point of this one. Let's look at the supply chain. If you look at the supply chain, you have certificate of origins. So if you look from item 1 to 32, you can see around 33 even, you've got a wide range of documents. So that means there are different players in between. So it is coming to one port. I'm shipping it to the export part, then again going to the factory, then going to the distributor, then going to the retailer to the customer. All key players are there. So the payment involved will be at 2 or 3 places. One, item has been shipped to from export point to import point. So somebody has to check it. Again, the supplier, it goes to the distributor, again payment has to be made. It goes to the retailer, again payment has to be made. It goes to the customer, payment has to be made. So you have smart contracts, and that smart contracts, when it comes to the first one, supplier, that means the job has been done. So it basically processes based on the Incoterm, based on whatever you may call, it processes it and get the payment. Same case when it goes to the next level, again has same stories around. So if you see the next ones, it goes to the again matches, supplier, order, invoice, shipment. So then it pays the supplier. So all of them you can see around the smart contract automatically makes payment. One to the basic supplier, here again to the supplier, and lastly customer pays to the supplier. Now procure to pay. I know the word could be called peer-to-peer also, and it could be called procure to pay. Now here I'm talking of procure to pay. So procure to pay is a multi-step process, you know very well. So in any good procurement transaction, we have got two parts. One, strategic sourcing. Other one is called procure to pay. So strategic sourcing is the one which you're making the long-term agreements. Now procure to pay is the one which you're doing multiple steps to comply with the strategic sourcing. Strategic sourcing are made in long-term agreements. Now procure to pay are basically complying, but still there are multiple steps around connecting the clients with one or more service and product providers. Among other activities, it allows me to identify, authenticate the stakeholders, budgeting also, service provision also, invoicing also, payments. All these activities goes in this chain of procure to pay. Some people may call it a mundane job, but activities are a lot. The multiple step activities, most time consuming function. Among the current challenges which are faced by the P2P, procure to pay, how do we cut down the cost reduction? Price has been negotiated during the strategic sourcing. I can't go on negotiating again and again every year, 5%, 10% down, down, down. There's a limit. So the choice left up with you is to improve the efficiency, control the frauds, improve the transparency. So those value addition can come in P2P. So this is where the blockchain technology can disrupt your procure to pay processes, and more importantly, provide huge operational benefits in terms of speed, in terms of security, and cut down the workload also. I think this is nice to see around in the blockchain procure to pay process. So here I'm trying to show you the very top one. There are a lot of activities around. This could be done through the blockchain. The impact, if I look around from saving, would be medium in this. Allow vendors to update, because vendors are part of your peer-to-peer now. Blockchain, if I'm talking around. So vendors are allowed to update the vendor master data. You don't have to go and ask every year, oh, can you update it? So they take care of updating. You allow for catalog also updating in the purchasing system. You have a catalog which have been approved through strategic sourcing. So suppliers has to be authorized to update it. The next one, we got the local contract into the contract. They load the contract, whatever contracts we are putting up around, they go into the contract repository. Allow vendors to submit e-invoicing. Now e-invoicing is allowed in India for the last 2 years. So those also can go in this. Create and improve the requisition or spot buy. So all these activities, if you are connected with the supplier or any peers, I think this could be done very smartly. Issue the purchase orders. So the benefits are very small here. Now the purchase order fulfill the POs and track the order. Now here impact can be high because you are able to track on a real-time basis. Now certification of receipts. Somebody has to certify the goods have been received and they are found okay. That's why the impact is very low. I'm calling for the blockchain. Whether blockchain or not blockchain, impact is very small. Now the screening of the whole scanning of the page, large in the past, every document was scanned around. Proposal has come, I'm scanning it for my file purpose, for audit purpose. Hard copy of the invoice has come, I'm again scanning it. But now I don't need to scan, so that activity is gone. Then investigate and resolve the invoice exception. If there are any exceptions, system will tell you they're not matching, you can take care. If you're allowing a tolerance of 4%, 5% in the invoice, and this is 6%, that means you have to resolve it. Now the next come the medium to high benefits. Where does it come? The process, the payment part, very automated. And if I've got a smart contract, it automatically makes the payment the day my milestones are done, I make a savings there. It validates the accuracy, issue the payments and remittance to the vendors. Now it diminishes the need to handle vendor and users inquiries, which in the past users were sending endless inquiries around, guys, what happened to my payment? What happened to this? They can go online and see whole history around because they are part of the peer-to-peer network. So whatever information is available with the company, same information you have on your database. So if I summarize the same P2P process, you could have front-end system like an add-on app where you authorize the vendors to define new catalogs, place purchase orders, sign contract. Improved validation process, accelerated purchase order management, reshaped invoice processing, accelerated settlements, streamlined inquiries, reduce the money laundering risk, greater trust among stakeholders. So all the stakeholders, which I would say majority are my suppliers, some my customers which are in-house, who can also see when the goods are bound to come. So basically you created trust. So blockchain in procurement also can build more trust. If you look at the use cases, worldwide, obviously you can see the numbers around. India has very few cases, but still is moving. I wouldn't say less number. In Telangana, they're doing the land registrations, data protections. Andhra Pradesh is also doing land records, educational certificates they're trying to do around. So nobody can say, oh, I got a certificate from this university. This university can easily check it around. Road transport license around. No use KYC for hotel records. Now, even today, when you got accounts in 2 or 3 banks, you're sending KYC to all 3. Here, you could cut down in the blockchain. So Maharashtra is again land records. IP intellectual properties in Karnataka. Goa is doing land registry, e-governance part. So some activities are going. Here comes the insurance sector, which is doing this blockchain use. Bank chain is also doing it. Automobile sector, yes, certainly they're doing for auto components. Now, activity, the jobs in India, when I look around, Bangalore is the highest number, 36%. Mumbai comes 13%. Hyderabad is the 3rd one. Pune comes the 4th. Gurgaon comes 5th. In the ranking of where the blockchain jobs are going around. Chennai is the next one. Noida's, New Delhi, and Mohali. So you can imagine around the Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Pune, they still rank the top. So the key takeaways from today, I would say, the blockchain is an ongoing revolution. It's a revolutionary technologies. It establishes a trust, which I'm sure, I hope I'm able to convince you on that part. Blockchain is for any domain. Blockchain is threatening any middleman actor. So basically, you cut down the middle person. So blockchain will boost economic growth and prosperity. This is what I look forward from this. Well, friend, with this, I want to thank you all. First, I've tried